everybody. Welcome to the Revolting Man channel. I'm Zach. All right, so the next step in your first AR series. Remember, what we're trying to do is help a brand new shooter with their first rifle get started into this highly complex, technical, and somewhat uninviting subculture we've created for ourselves. And of course, the end of that process, the end of the beginning, not the end of all, but the end of the beginning, is to have them at the range zeroing their rifle. All right, so what's a zero? A zero is the process of adjusting your sights to line up with the natural point of impact of the mechanical system of the rifle. This rifle is going to send a bullet from here out here in that direction a certain way. With other variables we're not going to worry about right now. And you can't adjust that for the most part unless you're a gunsmith. So what we have to do is we have to adjust our sights to line up with where that bullet's going to impact downrange. So that way we know, when we aim, we know where we're hitting. It is both a simple and a complex issue. And we're just talking about the concepts here today. Next week we're going to talk about what you can expect the first time you go to a range, and then the next video after that we're actually going to go to a range and zero a rifle. But this is just the theoretical, what do we talk about when we talk about zeroing your rifle? Okay, so a couple of things are going on when a bullet's flying downrange. First off, as soon as it leaves the muzzle, it drops. Bullets aren't lasers, they don't go in a straight line. As soon as it leaves this muzzle, it starts falling. So actually every time you shoot, when you aim, you're actually aiming up. And you're aiming at a trajectory. Or I'm sorry, your bullet is traveling in a trajectory. Now you're aiming in a straight line, and that bullet is flying upwards. And so what we have to do is adjust these sights so that that straight line you're looking at intersects with the bullet where its trajectory is, and also lines up left to right. It can be highly technical and complex with a lot of variables. For our purposes, though, we're going to try to simplify it. And just give you these concepts. Okay, so you've got trajectory. Trajectory is the path the bullet takes once it leaves the muzzle. You're pointing up, the bullet's falling down, but also as it's falling, it's traveling forward, so it makes this arc. That's the trajectory. Also, you could be aimed to the left or the right. So your bullet can also be moving laterally, left or right. And we've got to adjust all of these things now, okay? So we do that with two ways. It's actually simpler with scopes, believe it or not. Scopes are much simpler to do this. You've got an elevation adjustment and a windage adjustment. Generally, not always, it's one click of the dial will move your point of aim a quarter inch at 100 yards. So that if your point of aim was off an inch at 100 yards, you would need 4 clicks. Now, this is just on a little aside. We'll cover this in the next video. You're not setting your zero, you're not doing your zero at 100 yards. We're going to be doing our zero at 25 yards. And so actually, a quarter click actually only moves you a fourth as much distance. I'm not going to try to do math on camera. It won't work. But anyway, that's just an aside. So that's real simple. You go to your range. You guys are going to do 25 yard zero for reasons of simplicity that we'll talk about later. Set your target up, fire 3 shots. You're going to see where your shots are at. You're going to worry about how big the group is. All you're going to be worried about is where the group is centered. And then you're going to measure how many inches are you off, make the adjustments on your particular aiming system to move it over and up or down as much as needed. And once you've got the center of your group centered on your point of aim, where when I look down this scope and I see crosshairs, where I place those crosshairs on my target is point of aim. Now, where the rifle naturally sends those bullets and they actually impact the paper target, that's point of impact. And we want point of aim and point of impact to match up. And so we're adjusting point of aim because we can't adjust point of impact. Very important. We don't affect point of impact. We affect point of aim. We're going to adjust our point of aim to overlay on point of impact, and now we know. Now we can take accurate shots. That's in its most basic, most simplest, that's what zeroing your rifle is. Adjusting your sights to where your point of aim is layered on top of your point of impact. There are different ways to accomplish this. None of them are any less valid than any others. For our purposes, we're going to use a 25-yard zero, 3-shot groups, because that's what's going to be easiest for you as a new shooter to do when you go to the range for the first time, and it removes layers of complexity and stressors that you have to deal with in this brand new environment you're operating in the first time. All right, everybody, that's what a zero is. You're adjusting the point of aim where your sights are pointed to line up with your point of impact where the rifle's pointed. And they can be substantially different, especially at larger ranges, especially if you ever get to start shooting at 300 and 500 yards. They can be so far off that you completely miss the target altogether. So that's what we're going to adjust today. All right, everybody, we appreciate you. Thank you.